Hello, everybody. Your boy's back after his lovely road trip vacation, work slash all the things. Went to Sacramento, came all the way back to Phoenix, drove to Albuquerque, and then we pulled a Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny always said he should have made a right turn in Albuquerque. In my case, that was a big mistake. We made a right turn in Albuquerque and ended up in Roswell, New Mexico. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Roswell. I like the alien stuff. I just do. Okay. So we decided, let's go to Roswell. Yeah, well, Roswell is not great. If anything, going to Roswell actually made me believe less in aliens. I am thoroughly convinced that the only reason they say aliens landed there is to get tourism. I don't know. It was a shithole. Got a really nice hotel room for $40 a night, and it was actually a really nice hotel. Anywhere else, it would have been $200, but $40 in Roswell. So if you need to go to Roswell, some very nice hotels for very good prices. Anyway, in my travels, I stopped over at my buddy Tim Cena in Flagstaff, Arizona's tattoo shop. A Veil Tattoo, great people, really cool shop. Go check them out. And then my boys over, got the hat right here. My boys over at State Tattoo, some of my favorite people in the world, Mr. Johnny Wogan and Mr. Brian Craig. I love these guys. I spent a good amount of time bullshitting with them the other day, and it's always fun. All right, so let's get down to business. Enough of the personal crap that nobody cares about. So, lots to talk about, I would say. Trump is clearly getting pissed off at Putin. It was just in the news the other day, and I got to question the leak of this information, to be honest with you, that Trump said to Putin, I will bomb Moscow if you try to invade Kiev again. Now, this was said over a year ago, and I got to question why it's taken a year to get leaked. You would think it would have gotten leaked quicker than that because it was said to a group of donors. So it was in a somewhat public closed door thing. You would think somebody would have mentioned that he said this stuff. But anyway, I think Trump leaked it to tell everyone, see, look how tough I am with Russia. I have a new take on things, and this is another thing that I want to touch on. It is okay to pivot and change your opinions. It doesn't mean that your old opinion was wrong. It means that things change. Okay, so let me just add this. I don't see this Ukraine thing getting solved. I don't give a fuck what Trump said. I'll solve it on day one. We all know the guy's a fucking gas bag who just says whatever. But I think that this is going to be a slog and somewhat of a stalemate. I think Putin is literally willing to take down all of Russia to get Ukraine. I guess we're going to find out. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that we just sent more defensive stuff to Ukraine because of this, which means that we're back involved in the whole Russia Ukraine thing? I think that Trump started off annoyed with Zelensky. Now he's annoyed at Putin. Now he's annoyed at both of them. I don't know how this one ends. So we'll leave it at that. But it looks like we're going to get more involved. Okay. Tariffs, ongoing discussion. Um, as you can see, if you pay attention to anything, the markets have not reacted too badly to these tariffs. We're right back to where we were before they were all announced. That doesn't mean there's still not volatility coming, but it seems, and this is just my personal experience, I am still only seeing things getting cheaper. I've seen some stuff go up in price, But this is where the free market comes in. Those things that went up in price, people are going to decide whether they want to buy them or not. And if they go up too much, they're going to go for the other option that is cheaper. Personal story. I mean, I think I've already maybe even told it. Bounty. We use Bounty at my tattoo shops. Bounty raised its prices by almost $10 on a case. Well, I'm just not paying that. So I switched to the Costco brand, which is about $15 less than Bounty is right now. Well, maybe 12, somewhere in there. Don't quote me. Anyway, I switched. I don't think I'll ever go back to Bounty, especially not if it's that expensive. And what does that mean? Bounty sales are going to go down. Not just because of me, because I know I'm not alone. I'm not special. Other people are doing the exact same thing that I'm talking about right now. So therefore, Bounty's going to lose sales. Bounty is going to make less money. Bounty is going to have to do something about that. I would also question, why did Bounty raise its prices? You know, they need soft lumber from Canada. Soft lumber is specifically not included in the tariffs. There is zero reason why Bounty raised their prices. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing. All right, that's the tariff thing. A couple deals have been announced. A lot of companies are saying they're actually just going to eat the cost of things, which is kind of what I thought might happen. Again, sales are more important than profit margins. If you have no sales, how much money you make per product, you know, the cost of what it costs you to make it and what you charge somebody for it, this is your profit margin in between. Well, if you're not selling anything, that large gap of profit margin doesn't matter. And for the last God knows how many years, companies have been making huge profit margins because of cheap labor and things being produced in other countries with very low labor costs. So that seems to be changing. And I think a lot of these companies are going to eat the cost of some of these tariffs. You know, some of the tariffs are not going to end up being quite as bad as people think. I think Vietnam made a deal which their previous tariff before all this started was 10%. Now I think they're doing 20%. So it's not even that big of an increase. It's an increase of 10% over what? But you got to remember that extra 10% that turns into revenue for the United States, which another thing is a lot of people seem to not understand how tariffs work. So let me just break it down for you because I thought that this was fairly common knowledge. Apparently, it is not. While a tariff is a tax on the consumer, the producer of the goods has to pass that cost of the tariff down to you for it to become a tax. That doesn't always happen. When Company X produces a good in China and then ships it over here, Company X has to pay the tariff. Okay? You, me, we don't pay shit until we buy the product from Company X. Now, Company X can decide whether to pass the cost that they just had to do onto you, or they eat the cost and their profit margin gets lower and they don't pass it on to you, which is what seems to be happening. You know, and like I said, I'm just seeing things getting cheaper. I was just, like I said, on the road trip. We drove all the way from Sacramento, Phoenix, New Mexico, all the way up to Wyoming. I was seeing an average gas in Arizona. The gas is actually more expensive because we have to use what's called a summer blend because we have really bad air pollution. So I don't know exactly what all that entails, but I do know it costs more. But in New Mexico, I got gas for $2.40 a gallon. It was amazing. I filled up my four-wheel drive car that we rented for $35. It was awesome. So, and this is during the summer when gas prices should be higher. Let's see what happens when they should be lower. Okay, so we are only 7 months into a Trump presidency, and it has been extremely eventful. Let's not lie to ourselves. All kinds of crap has happened. And some of it ain't great, but yeah, to make an omelet, sometimes you got to break some eggs, as they say. Um, you know, the one thing that I think people are definitely not stoked about is the whole ICE situation. And this is, I just want to get into this just real quick. I don't want to talk too much about it. But when it comes to ICE, first off, not new. You know, Obama deported tons of people all the time. Also, we're acting like raiding work sites and things like that, all new. You got to be kidding me. I grew up in Arizona, used to joke about it all the time, like, La Migra, like all that shit. Like, that's not new. I'm not saying that how they're doing it is good. What I am saying is that acting like it's all a new situation is completely insane. In fact, it's just what it used to be coming back. Okay. Now, I've heard a lot of people complain about the fact that something's beeping in here. There's a bomb. I heard a lot of people complaining about the fact that, yeah, but they shouldn't be wearing masks and, these people that are not in uniform and all this other stupid shit. Well, I'll put a picture. They do kind of have a uniform. I mean, their shit says ICE on it. Okay. I don't know if anyone's ever paid attention, but federal agents don't have uniforms. Never have. Federal agents, I mean, did anyone ever watch the X Files? Even the FBI, when they show up, they throw a hat on and a little jacket. That's their uniform. Well, ICE is a federal agency. I mean, I don't know why they need to wear a uniform like a cop. In fact, that's stupid, and they probably shouldn't. When you're trying to do covert operations or just low key operations, you really don't want to announce who the fuck you are because then the people you're looking for run. Now, we can this part of it I don't really know what's going on. I For what I'm seeing, there are people who are getting caught up in these raids who are also illegal, but these raids are targeting people who have committed crimes. Now, let's just get this out of the way. If you've committed a crime, you've already been charged, you're already set to be sent back. Sorry, game over, you got to go back. If you're somebody who gets caught up in these raids, I feel like there needs to be almost something else going on where it's like, okay, you got caught up in a raid, you're here illegally. Here's what you need to do now. You didn't do anything illegal. You literally got caught up in some raid which just happened yesterday at a marijuana grow in California. Um, they should have something in place where it's like, okay, you got caught. Here's what you need to do. We're going to put you on a work visa. Okay. You need to be on this work visa for 3 years. After the 3 years, you get entered into the queue to become a citizen. Something like that. There just needs to be more than just you're going back. I mean, and this is where everyone is, again, criminals, done. You're out. I have no time or patience for anyone who comes to another. I mean, dude, if you've ever been to another country and you're not on your fucking best behavior, I mean, I know when I go to Mexico, I purposely try to act better than I do in America because it's not only disrespectful, but you should be a little bit worried about going to jail in another country. I mean, maybe that's just me. Maybe it's rational thinking, but whatever. So the whole idea with the masks and stuff, I don't know, man. Like none of that bothers me. Federal agents wear masks all the time. Cops wear masks all the time. And why do they wear them? Because in the environment we're in right now, you have, which I just learned this. I didn't even know what this was, but doxing, where people identify who you are and then they ruin your life online. They leak your social security. They find out everything they can about you and then put it online. So hiding your identity makes complete sense to me. What if you have a family and they identify you and then you, they know where you live and stuff? And there are crazy fucking people out there that literally might come to your house and kill you because you're just doing your job. So you know what? I mean, it optically, it's horrible. Like it does not look good that people roll up in street clothes and bulletproof vests and snatch people up wearing masks. I get it. That don't look good, but it's also not new. It's not all that crazy when vest says ICE on it, federal agent, all that stuff. Um, Optically, I mean, yeah, there probably should be a better way to do it because it doesn't look good. That's all. They're still just doing their job. And like I said, there should be something in place where if it is somebody who has not committed a crime and they get caught up in some of these raids where it's like, okay, well, now here's the process you need to get. Almost, I mean, and I don't mean it like this, but somewhat almost like a similar like system as like parole, where you're going to have to check in, you're going to at least have to sign the guest book, all of those things. Like you have to become documented now. You're not a citizen, but you have to become documented now. And here's the process of how to become a citizen. Again, criminal, get the fuck out. I don't care. And I don't, that, this has nothing to do with race. I don't give a shit where you come from around the world. If you come to America and you're causing problems, get the fuck out. If you're not causing any problems, welcome aboard, my man. Start paying taxes like the rest of us. Okay. Iran. Well, that got dicey. Yeah, dicey real quick. Seemed to work though. Iran just couldn't seem to lose face in this shit, and I guess they kind of didn't, but whatever the fuck we did, they got scared and they retreated. You got to think about what's going on here. I mean, forget all of the fucking noise, but Iran now has no proxies in the Middle East except the Houthis, which we bombed the shit out of, and they're not even raiding any ships anymore coming out of what's it called? The Red Sea. I forgot what the Egypt Canal. I forget Suez, the Suez Canal. They're not even raiding ships coming through there anymore. So I mean, Iran has been depleted quite a bit, and then we go and bomb all their nuclear stuff, which I don't give a shit what anyone says. If you know anything about it or have followed anything about it, if you want nuclear power to generate power, cool. You don't need all that extra shit if that's your only goal. And they had a ton of extra shit. And it's not even a secret. So I'm sorry, but whatever. Whatever we did, it worked. Israel. I'm getting a little sick of Israel. I'm going to say it here. I believe Israel has the right to exist. I don't understand what the fuck they're doing. They went from, defending themselves and doing what I actually thought was fairly measured response to the situation they were in, and now I just don't get it. What the fuck is left in Gaza that you need to bomb? Like for real? Like just it's done. I mean, on the same token, it's like, why the fuck wouldn't Hamas just flee the country, give up leadership? Um, I mean, this is what happens when religion comes into stuff. Like there is no rational thought. If you think you're on a mission from God, you're willing to go down with the ship. So, okay, all these things real quick, just because I'm doing this with, I barely have time before I go to work. And then it brings us to one other point, the Epstein files. What the fuck is going on there? Same thing with the JFK stuff. We got all these promises of like, we're going to release everything. And now they're just like, well, there isn't anything. What the fuck are you talking about? If there is nothing, then why is Ghislaine, whatever, why is she even in jail? What did she do wrong if there weren't clients and stuff like that? That makes no sense. And as my favorite comedian Tim Dillon said, you can't release any of the videos, blur the people out. Just release the videos of like, you don't have to show everything that happened, but release the fucking videos so that we can at least say, oh, okay, you're right. Not a lot happening here. You're full of shit. You are totally full of shit. Now, what is the reason? I honest to God don't know. I am still firmly in the belief that Trump is not involved with any of this. And this is coming from a rational standpoint. You have to remember Trump banned Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago a long time ago. And the word around the campfire is the reason he banned him is because Jeffrey Epstein was propositioning a good friend of his 16-year-old daughter. Trump heard about that and said, get the fuck out of here. And this is all on record. So that doesn't seem like the actions of somebody who is deep in bed with Jeffrey Epstein. Plus, there's other things I've heard where, yes, Jeffrey Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago, but you got to remember Mar-a-Lago is like where the rich people in Florida go and hang out. It doesn't mean he was hanging out with Trump. And some people have said that Trump wasn't really around. It was just he owns it. And remember, Trump threw him the fuck out. So 2 + 2 is 4. That does kind of sound like maybe Trump found out the bullshit this homeboy was playing and was like, you can't hang out here, bro. Now, you could talk about the fact that maybe he should have called the cops, all that stuff, but that's another whole subject. Yes, you should have called the cops, but it also doesn't mean he's involved in anything. It means he's complicit in letting him get away with more shit. But those are two different things, okay? So what the fuck is going on? Deflection? Are they doing something even more fucked up in the world that they've got all of us looking at this Epstein shit going like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't know. This is a weird one for me. And finally, let's get to some financial stuff, which you should not be taking financial advice from me. I'm just letting you know what's going on. Bitcoin, all-time highs. Why? Federal government is passing a whole bunch of new laws. Vote is next week in Congress. I think it's also got to do with the fact that the federal government is investing in Bitcoin. If the federal government passes those laws where they're investing in Bitcoin, that means the federal coffers, all the money is all going to start pouring into Bitcoin again, and it's giving it more legitimacy. The more legitimacy, the more money, price is going up. So I'm not saying buy it. I'm just saying I bought more because of that reason. I've had Bitcoin for a while. I don't fully believe in cryptocurrency, but I'm willing to bet a couple bucks. I'm a little bit of a gambler. So it's gambling for sure, but shit, it's gambling that if you do a little bit of research, there may be a reason why it's going to go up. You may not want to hold it, but it might go up, make a couple bucks, get the fuck out. I probably will sell some. I don't think I want out of it altogether, but I don't think I want to stay in. I don't know. Just letting you know what I'm doing, just letting you know what's happening. Strong and uninformed opinions. I'm Jeff Galino. You guys have a good day, and I hope not a whole lot more happens today because I'm kind of exhausted from my trip and stuff. I really don't want to deal with any more news. Kind of just want to. Plus, it is fucking, oh my God. Arizona. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I've lived here my whole life and you'd never get used to it. I got back from my trip. I went up to Estes Park, Colorado. I woke up, there was still snow on the mountains. It was fucking 60 degrees. It was fucking great. By the next day, I got back to Arizona. It was 118. Oh, my God. Anyway, go check out my friends, Avail Tattoo, State Tattoo. Really good people. Strong and uninformed opinions. Until next time, people, have a good day.